angelic, refined, perfection, silky smooth, all of the above. The echoing, rippling effects. Right here, right now. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. My co-host, Divine Delectable High Priestess Jade. Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to a new dimension.
Ooh.
Yes, that's an interesting word, dimension. Oh, I am your humble servant and Sifu. That was Master San Quinn. Another day, another dimension. Well, this is an interesting topic. If anyone hasn't got to it, we're diving into dimensions. We're diving into the dimensions. What exactly do they mean? Exactly how relevant are they to the story of your life? We've always referred to them and paralleled them to levels of consciousness. Moreover, the understanding that, dimensional shifts, dimensions in of itself, they're all framed within the physics model, the quantum physics model. So, we're operating in a dimension right now. You could perceive it as a 3D dimension. It's present, or is it?
I think that's up to the individual.
And that is really the point that we're going to validate and qualify today, is understanding what does that really mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, people are framing this and they're very excited about it. Now, I can speak from experience. I operate in 5-dimensional shifts and up. And how do I qualify the Sifu? How do you operate in a 5-dimensional reality? And how would you know if you were in a 5-dimensional reality? Because I affect change in this 3D reality. Manifestation, magic, healing. I bear witness to it with my very eyes open. Not within my third eye. Not with the idea of, conceptually. It is realized, it is materialized, it is happening instantaneously. Now, we are of the ilk. What an interesting expression. We are of the messaging and clarity of making sure that you understand how powerful you are. Jade and I, that's our whole mission, that's our purpose, is really grasping that and having you grasp it. And the purpose of this channel, the purpose of our business, the purpose of everything that we do is about empowering you as an individual and bringing you the very clear understanding of how powerful you are. As a singular, as a collective, the oneness.
The oneness. One is all is one.
Yeah, baby. Austin Powers. $1 million. Yeah, anyway. When you understand that, you understand, look, I recently posted a short, and, to the wonderment of AI. Sometimes it chops up certain parts of videos, and they're not exactly correct, but, I have a volume of work that I'm putting out, and that was to my oversight that a piece went out there. But, someone was like, oh, you mentioned the 3 dimensions, that you were going for 3 lines, and then you talk about a three-dimensional object. Ha 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 ha. Well, now, of course, let's bring your attention to someone that you may be familiar with. You may have remembered. Someone with, scraggly gray hair and an overgrown moustache. That guy named Albert Einstein. He had a very interesting exercise that he used to like to constantly apply to his audience, whether it's students, whether it's peers, whatever it was. He would measure the degree of consciousness of the human being instantly. It's like, whoa, Sifu, how would he do that? What would he do? Well, as we've spoken on before, as you understand, human beings are introspective, analytical, cynical in their nature. They are on the default of fight or flight, fear. To reproduce and to survive is the very instinct and nature of who you are. Now, is that how you have to live your life? No, I don't believe so. Is that how you have to perceive your reality? Absolutely not. Yet, this is how most people are programmed. So Albert Einstein, whenever he was in a new audience, an audience of peers, a new audience of students, he'd do simple things that would sort of kick up the amplitude of consciousness in the room, or lack of, because once you accept that you know everything, you absolutely know nothing. Once you accept you know nothing, you absolutely know everything. Ooh, mic drop. And so what would he do? He'd start with some really basic mathematical sums, and the audience would be listening. And then he'd be like, 1 plus 1 equals 9. And then he would start counting, and 9 plus 9 is 18. And 9 plus 9 plus 9 is 27. And then he'd go to some other, he'd move off to something else, come back, and then go, 9 plus 10 is 81. No. And he'd say, excuse me, what? And there'd be one or two people that would stand up in the audience and say, no, you got that wrong. I'd be like, what are you talking about? No, 9 times 10 is
90.
And he would say 81. And people would be like, that's incorrect. He goes, it's a very interesting observation. They're like, what are you talking about? Because you're right. It is. It's 90. And they're like, see? He goes, what you haven't comprehended, what you haven't gathered or understood, is that every single time I added a number, 9 plus 9 equals 18, 9 plus 9 plus 9 equals 27. Not once throughout all the equations leading up to this last one did anyone validate my correction, my answers being correct. Why is that? Why is it that the only thing that you are fixated on is to validate that I am wrong and you are right? The inner workings of a human being. The programming of how you perceive your reality. What are you talking about, Sifu? What? You have been trained to filter everything out of your life, and you are now programmed to ripple, emulate, oscillate, vibrate, and expand anything and everything within what you perceive as your reality, which is a duality, because you're now looking at right or wrong, up or down, in or out. What is good, what is bad? So what does this mean? It means that the only thing you have programmed yourself for is to perceive and observe the deficiencies, the negativities, the limitations that you are so concerned, the only thing that concerns you, to validate what your truth is. I'm right, you're wrong. And so he would use this example over and over again to create a level of understanding of where their consciousness is, or lack of, to create that realization. And so, you have a situation where your perception of your reality is determined by your truth as you know it. Sifu, where are you going with this? This is the true core and infrastructure and understanding of the essence of who you are. And so it goes back to what we talk about when we talk about epigenetics, the understanding of you are a product of your environment. Your thoughts change your reality. You can turn on and off your genes with your thoughts alone. So what was the moral of the story, or the moral of the practice, or the moral of the exercise? And I guess we're working and operating in a duality, so you understand there must be a moral. What is it, Sifu? What's the purpose of this exercise that Albert Einstein would continually go over and over and over again? Is to have you realize how limited your perception is and how you view your reality. So let's talk about dimensions. What do they even mean? If you measure the understanding of physics as a language that's only been around 300 or 400 years, it's ain't ancient like the language that I resonate with, which is Mandarin, Cantonese, that is thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. No, we're talking about a language that has literally only been on the face of the earth for 300 or 400 years. And it's gone through its growing pains. It's gone through its turmoil, its infrastructure shifting and changing, its realization of what is this language? What does it really mean? Have we altered the language? Have we shifted the language? Yeah, I believe we have. From the spark, the birth of physics back in 300-400 years ago, Newtonian physics as you know it, cause and effect, generally speaking, the understanding of, to what we are looking down the barrel of today, which is through the stage of the idea of quantum physics, quantum mechanics, the quantum field, which has a whole different understanding about how things move, how things operate. What does it really mean? So we create simplicity here on this channel. We create things are extremely simple because guess what? Your truth teller is the biggest gauge of reality that you could ever make. Don't take it from Jade. Don't take it from me. Don't take it from John Smith down the street. Register it with yourself. Our only objective, our sole goal is to make sure that you reunite yourself with your truth teller. You are 100% in tune with that. Reunited and it feels so good. I'm deadly serious about this because the value, the kinesthetic charge that we constantly speak of, that gives you a complete validation of what feels good to you, what repels you, what draws you. You are the magnet of your reality. We talk about this all the time. So you get someone who is very fixed in their viewpoint. We talked about this just recently. I spoke to someone who was absolutely dead set with the model of Newtonian physics and the understanding of that, and that's how he perceives his reality. Guess what? He can. Guess what? That's truth to him, and that's the only truth that he needs to be concerned with. Guess what? Until he moves through his life and he finds something else that he can validate to have a different viewpoint or understanding or reality, why should he change his perception? Because that's his truth. As long as he's moving through his reality, and every time he has a moment, he's able to validate what he believes to be true, then that's the only truth he needs to be concerned with. And that's when you stop consciousness. We've talked about the model of consciousness and understanding it. Imagine this. Jade's at one end of the table, I'm at the other. We put a ball in the middle. Tennis ball, football, it doesn't matter what it is. She has her view, I have my view, and they're all interconnected. So what's the correct view? Every view. But understand this and know this to be true, that you will never, ever be lost to understand the depth of what it is that you're looking in front of you, that your truth teller will validate what is real. That's the validator. That's the hands down simplicity at its finest when it comes to you using your intuition to craft your reality.
So what is the difference between, say, fifth dimension and sixth dimension?
Okay.
Or seventh dimension?
All right. Right. So I'm going to put it out here, and people can have their minds blown at this point, because you get the people that scoff, and now we speak about this within the scripture. People will look at the Tao, hear of it often, think about it never. This is a part of the inner workings of our living scripture that we speak on, which is a reflection of your level of consciousness. That's why it's framed that way in that particular verse that is in the magical register of the Tao Te Ching. So, when you talk about dimensional shifts, I speak of it from experience when I am channeling any spirit, energy, frequency, vibration. I'm sitting in this 3D reality. I'm drawing on that energy, that direct source. Now, if I'm supposed to move on the fundamental understanding and framework of what a dimension is, dimension 1, a dot, dimension 2, 2 dots in a line, dimension 3, a three-dimensional object. Fourth dimension would be time itself and the collapsing of it. Fifth dimension would be all bets are off. You're able to move, and everything you experience is happening instantaneously, past, present, and future. And then you continue to level up from that. So everything is being experienced instantaneously. And of course, people have these viewpoints, or their perception, or their realization, their understanding of what they believe another dimension is, right up to parallel universes. You know what another dimension is outside of the fifth dimension, which I speak on constantly because I use that consciousness to affect change in this 3D reality. Now, what would you define that as? Is it a fifth dimension, or is it just a shift of my ability to look at that ball at one end of the table and go, guess what? It has a different shade to it. There's another line. There's something different. That is consciousness in of itself. The second you are unable to look at something every day and not find something new about it is when your consciousness stops. So, in reality, moreover, understanding what we know to be true in the deep essence of ourselves in relation to the black hole energy, that's the epicenter of what Taoists use fundamentally as a source to everything. It's abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. And within that, moreover, recently within quantum physics, peer-reviewed science validates what Taoists have known for thousands of years. And so what is a dimension, as Jade has asked me? The dimensions are your shift of your perception, your ability to access things that you may not have had 3 seconds ago, 1 second ago, 5 minutes ago, last week. And that would be then measured by how you're able to alter the reality in front of you And as we lean on the classic one-liner from Albert Einstein, bend your reality. I know this from practical application, having done in this for 30 years, over 30 years. The simplicity of, the concept of first dimension, second dimension, third dimension, fourth dimension, jumping to fifth dimension where you're altering things in the third dimension with your mind alone, using the quantum physics model. Everything is interconnected, understanding that on a much deeper level, you're applying the concept of the epigenome, the epigenetic model of understanding you are a product of your environment, your thoughts change your reality. This is what I have determined through my own experience, my own realization, witnessing magic, witnessing manifestation, witnessing healing, instantaneous, physical flesh being altered in front of my very eyes. You name the physical element, I've seen it shift and change. This is a fact, and I know it to be true. Now, if you want to talk about shifting into a higher frequency to obtain access to spirit's energies, frequency, vibration, I do that all day, every day. I'm going to show you. We're going to have that coming up very soon. The reality is we're all doing it. You just aren't aware you're doing it. You just need to refine your skills so you understand you're doing it. But understand this, know this to be true. When I tell you directly from the mouth of the Jade Emperor, one of my teachers, that I speak with every day, and he's from a higher frequency, a whole nother dimensional shift, all thoughts of your mind are not yours. Mic drop that one. Know that.
What would you consider like dreaming? Like when someone falls asleep and they dream, are they jumping into a different dimension?
Oh, absolutely. Now the question is what do you do with it? Because I'm a doer, not a don'ter. So that means that I want to apply this, and I want to show you. I'm going to show you right here, right now. It's not a matter of, I'm just describing to you in great detail what I've perceived or read in definition of what that is. No, I'll show you. I will materialize an experience that will mimic and be able for you to have a sensory perception of that exact state of consciousness. That's what I'm talking about.
So everyone is always shifting in and out of dimensions constantly.
Right. So, look, they're talking about, understanding that, all thoughts of your minds are not yours. Now, we always lean on understanding that using the neurology of the human body is the information energy highway that you use as a validator, the tuning fork, to register the kinesthetic charge, the supercharge that makes you know it's go time. That will affect the brainwaves. We've done this so many times. The brainwaves are measured with EEGs. Your brainwaves will instantly be shifted when you use the Way 126 experience, that is a visual audible experience creating a kinesthetic charge that is the validator to tell you you are the field time. That is the 5D reality we're speaking of. That's where you manifest, that's where you heal, that's where you create magic. These are three different subsections of what we speak of because there are three things that we always use whenever we're altering our level of consciousness. Leveling up equal to or greater than is what you experience. It must be tangible. That's why the mastery of the energy, the 0.07 millivolts of electricity that runs through the 50 trillion cells in your body that have 50 trillion atoms within each cell, is the magnification and the consolidation of this particular energy that gives you the ability, when you create an attention, intention, you're able to move that condensing energy, light, matter, particle, blammo, everything is light, and move it in any direction you want, as we showed you just yesterday within our podcast, when you're able to concentrate that energy and replicate and elevate levels of nitric oxide, levels of oxytocin, where you are absolutely feeling elated, sedated, and absolutely shit grin happy, and it's a bubbling effect. You will feel that chemistry take place in your body as you did yesterday. If you didn't, go back to our podcast yesterday and experience it. Go back to the podcast the day before and experience it, because that's how quickly you can access this level of consciousness.
So it's kind of like saying, when you ask your computer for information, it's not coming from it's not your computer's information, it's just getting it from the internet or whatever. Like your specific computer doesn't own the internet. Every computer is linked to it, every computer is connected to it. It's just receiving information as a transmission.
Well, yeah, I mean, what a great parallel of understanding. I mean, Jade gave an incredible analogy to parallel what we're speaking of. And so a lot of people would say that they believe that the simplicity of the internet, the code within the internet, the zeros and ones that create the actual interweb that we speak of, is parallel to the matrix that we speak of, which would be more commonly, moreover, they call it the matrix in reference to something from the Bible. Not very familiar with, but I know it's referenced to. That's why I always allude to that when we're talking about the matrix. People talk about escaping the matrix because you get stuck in the limitation of a consciousness that you cannot shift out of, a dimensional viewpoint that is limited to. You aren't leveling your dimensions up. You are just stuck there. And more likely than not, you are stuck in what people will refer to as the third dimension, which is just this reality here. And you are stuck with and limited by your very limited belief system. And again, you can shift your consciousness instantly. That's why we always say the truth is only what you believe. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. And as you shift your consciousness and you validate it with yourself, that's why we use the neurology, understanding of that millivolt of electricity within every cell, the 50 trillion cells in your body, 50 trillion atoms within every cell. You are the maestro, the master, the conductor of this energy, this electromagnetism that we speak of, the electromagnetic field that is the basic core of everything that you know, energy, frequency, vibration. This is taking place all day, every day.
So here's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So since consciousness or dimensional shifts are based off of consciousness.
Well, that's how we perceive it.
That's how we perceive it.
That's how we perceive it. That's how we teach it. That's how we share people. And guess what? It's validated by the proof is in the pudding. I will show you. You want to go and have a fifth dimensional shift and have me pop you out of your body? Go to our video on YouTube on 3 to 5D dimensional shift. I promise you, you will be altered and never be the same because you will have your spirit pop out. First person, third person, no person, guarantee, hands down. You do not need any external drugs of any kind. You don't need ayahuasca. You don't need DMT. You don't need shrooms. You don't need LSD. I promise you, you will find the magical mystery ride deep within yourself, and you'll be able to produce that DMT that doesn't last like 20 minutes like someone taking an external dose of it. You will be able to create it and stay within it for as long as you choose to.
So is my view of a 5-dimensional shift different than your view of a 5-dimensional shift?
It's all relevant to the experience. The most important thing is for you to validate what is true to you. We can explain it in our own personal experience. We can explain it. We can explain it conceptually. We can explain it hypothetically. We can explain it in a framework of a system, and it will only become real when you experience it for yourself. Now, I know very well that Jade and I have almost the parallel same experiences when it comes to shifting dimensions. So when she asked me that, I can say wholeheartedly, 1,000%, no. We have the same shift. We have the same, but again, it is fractional, right? It's fractional. What does that mean, Sifu? What are you talking about? She's sitting there, I'm sitting here. We're looking at something, an object on the table. Her viewpoint is slightly different to my viewpoint. Same object, same space. That is consciousness, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. Do you understand? Can you dig it?
Yeah, so it's like, and we've done this before where like we've shifted together or done exercises together where we're shifting into different spirit realms. But kind of what you're saying is like we're in a spirit realm, we're talking to a spirit, but the way you might see the spirit is a little bit different than the way I might see the spirit. But we're still in that realm talking, connecting, and perceiving it. But, you know, I see it a little bit of a different
at a different angle,
you know? And then you see it a little, but we're still there
exactly
together.
But I mean, consciousness in a whole definitively is all is one is all. That means you are an individual, you're a collective, you're a singular. And we always refer to singular because that is the truth teller. That is the oneness. And the singular is the epicenter. That is the stillness inside the tornado. That is the vortex. That is the very, very, very powerful a vortex that is circulating within that black hole, which creates the energy, which also has a rippling effect that would be, in definition, the understanding of how we create gravity within the Planck field. And so
people shouldn't be so concerned. I feel like we get a lot of users or like subscribers who are so concerned, like, well, how do I know I'm going from 5 to 6 or 5 to 7?
Right.
You shouldn't be if one is all and all is one, and you're a singular and a collective. You shouldn't be so. I think people get so caught up in the like, oh, I'm at 8 now. I have to go to 9.
Right.
And this like
and
almost
there's a level.
Well,
there's a level up, right?
Yeah.
Now we always our most powerful number is 9. We integrate numerology. We integrate linguistics, words, symbols. They're all integrated deep within the DNA. We know this to be true. This has been resonating within Taoists for thousands of years. But understand this: you have different perceptions. People will describe their perception of their reality of what dimensions are completely different to mine, completely different to Jade's, completely different to Roger Smith. Understand this, know this to be true, because everyone sits in a certain place where, oh no, it all has to do with the sacred geometry. That's been validated. That's the only truth. Kaleidoscope. That's really the bigger picture, right? What does that mean? People refer to that because you are now emulating this much more myopic view where people have got this glimpse where they're getting this the sacred geometry that is being, validated through specific practices, specific historical references that would make it valid to them. Understand, that is their truth as they know it. That is the only truth they need to be concerned with. That is what we keep speaking on and validating. That is not my truth as I know it. That is not what I experience. That is not what I reference to when I raise or ascend to a higher frequency, a higher vibration, a higher energy. That is not what I gravitate to. And no, I do not experience that. That is not, understand this. Consciousness is yours and for you to perceive. And it can come from any which way you want it. There is no right or wrong way. And dimensional shifts are what I know to be true, what I know is validated, is I can show you. And so what we always talk about, what we speak on, what we reiterate over and over and over again is the truth is only what you believe. And the validator is the neurology. Your physical body is the tuning fork to determine what is true to you. That's why we talk about the gut feeling. That's why we talk about you lead with your heart, you lead with your head, you lead with your gut. Guess what? That's synchronicity. When you synchronize the heart, the brain, the gut, you get a blammo, dead balls accurate reading that is what you would refer to, that millions of people refer to. They don't even realize they use this terminology. I got a gut feeling. That is how you get it. And you resonate to things or you're repelled from things. That is determined by your experience, your perception, your reality, your level of consciousness, where you are in this incarnation, reincarnation, which life you're in, which life you're repeating, which life you were from, what were you 3 or 4, 5, 6, 10 lives ago. And guess what? That is relevant if you believe in reincarnation. And if you don't, then you don't. Because again, I will always repeat to you, you only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. Don't ever forget that. So to dismiss or not to validate someone else's truth is a mistake, because the second you do that, you lose your consciousness and your grasp of what is a raised consciousness. And guess what? The second you don't validate someone else's truth, you don't validate yourself. That is the end. And as the Jade Emperor would always say, which is what you would refer to as a 5-dimensional shift and up, and I use the dimensions only as a shift of gears. People use it as a description of a dot, a line, 2 dots, a 3-dimensional object, space-time as a 4th dimension, and then the collapsing of that, creating the 5th dimension where you access everything at once. Past, present, and future is condensed as one experience. You experience everything at once. I can validate that to be true. I can share with you and simulate that experience right here, right now, and you can experience it for yourself. But the validation is that you are to determine what is the truth. We use it as a shift because this is how people are able to acquire higher levels of consciousness, rather than me just saying all is one, one is all, go for it. If you're still gravitating to look for a greater understanding of your realization of what the truth is, human beings are mechanistic. They are in so many ways they're tribal, they're pack-like, and they're animalistic in of themselves. So what does that really mean, Sifu? You're talking about primal. Yes, I am talking about primal. But understand this, we resort back to numbers, we resort back to symbols, we resort back to words. These are the fundamental understanding, and they're integrated into the DNA that is the very essence of who you are at a subatomic particle level that makes it real to you. That is why you gravitate to systems, you gravitate to numbers, you gravitate to words. That is just who you are. Now, where you're at within this lifetime, or this reincarnation or incarnation, or whether you've had 27 lives before this, is your realization, your truth, your belief. And it's for you to determine, to discern, to realize, to experience. But I'll tell you this, as long as you've been given this gift, this ancient high-tech tool that is the human body, and you can do things with it that are unfathomable, that are not paralleled, that you can't even possibly grasp within what we consider AI high tech. AI's got nothing on this. Nothing. We have just begun to understand the power of this neurology, the power of this vehicle that houses our consciousness, which is everything.
Yeah, and getting back to the Albert Einstein thing, is, we get so caught up in the one little thing that wasn't 100% right in our mind, the limitation, that we fail to forget all the 10 things that went right before it.
Right.
Or
And-
that changed us or shifted us before
Right.
it. It's like, oh, I manifested everything I wanted 100 times before, but I focused on that one thing
Exactly.
that I didn't get, and then I go, oh, I'm horrible at
It's
it.
all
I'm
been
horrible.
dismissed.
I
It's no
can't.
longer validated.
I can't do it. I'm a
Right.
loser. I'll never manifest again. When I completely dismissed the 100 other synchronicities that happened, and I,
And you know straight away you can validate if you're thinking you're
Exactly.
not knowing. You're compartmentalized. You are not singular. You're not one. And Jade has made such a valid point because that's really the truth of it. If someone relies on other things that are more parallel, that people are more familiar with outside of levels of dimension, they talk about hermetic principles, the 7 laws of the universe, whatever that might be, whether you sit on the very shoulders of laws of attraction and understand this, like attracts like. It doesn't get any easier than that. If you're operating in duality, then of course you are going to, if you are positive, positive things happen. If you are negative, negative things happen. It's as simple as that. So what does that mean, Sifu? It means that you get to believe, you get to discern whatever the hell you want to, whenever you want to, however you want to. That is your truth as you know it. Not mine, not Jade's, not anybody's. You are able to grasp dimensional shifts however you want to grasp dimensional shifts. It's what it means to you and how you validate it. I can just validate what a fifth dimensional shift is to me and to Jade by showing you magic, showing you manifestation, showing you a physical healing before your very eyes in this 3D reality. And that would then validate to you. You would have a confirmation of that going, holy moly, how is that possible? I have to put that down on the bucket list as being something I've never seen before. So it has to be true because I'm experiencing it right here. And that's the whole point of the neurology. That's the whole point of you engaging into this energetic component, into realizing that when we teach you Qigong and Qigong, integrating quantum physics, epigenetics, 11 herbs and spices, Taoist proprietary ancient rituals and practices that are integrated into the Way 126, you are able to validate it with a visual audible experience, creating a kinesthetic response that is true to you. I'm not telling you. She's not telling you. Excuse me, Mame. Jade is not telling you. You're able to validate it by the feeling. Mm-hmm. And so when someone says to you, yeah, you said a dimension is only 3 lines and it's not the third dimension. Listen, you're acting extremely myopic in your viewpoint, which shows me that your consciousness is extremely limited when you would find that's the only thing that you could validate from someone explaining how they experience their levels of consciousness. Know this, that the higher the frequency, the more you are merged or you realize and acknowledge that you are the field is you access everything instantaneously. That means your sensational experience is instantaneous and it's all at the same time. That's why the magnitude is so high. The information is all at the same time. The energy is all at the same time. The frequency is all at the same time. Everything happens at once. That's why this human body is such an incredible tuning fork for you to realize that.
And once you realize that too, or it's shared with you, whether you can do it yourself or not, your consciousness instantly gets raised because it's been validated.
Bridging the gap between the conscious and unconscious.
Exactly. So you're like, I didn't think 5 dimension was real, even though I didn't go there. I watched you go there.
Exactly.
I felt you go there. And now all of a sudden.
And what does that do?
That raises you up. Because we get a lot of, especially after we've just done this thing, we get a lot of people who now go, oh my God, I
didn't know it was possible.
Or I just had this crazy experience too.
Right.
Or I just felt this crazy thing too.
Right.
And they didn't know they could. But it was, all of a sudden it was validated because they watched you do it.
And so the biggest thing is which we remind you of over and over again. Once you have seen it, you cannot unsee it. Mm-hmm. That means it becomes real to you now. You are now the validator. So what does that mean? It means from a neurological aspect where your mirror neurons are replicating the experience, and now, poof, you can do it. Mm-hmm. What, Sifu? But you're the Sifu. Listen, be very clear in hearing what I'm saying and know this to be true right here, right now. The student is the teacher is the student. But Sifu, you're the Taoist master. You are the humble servant and Sifu. You are the teacher. I am. And I am the student because guess what? There isn't a single second of any minute, of any hour, of any day, of any week, of any month, of any year of my natural born life as I use this vehicle, this physical body, this flesh and blood that is the 50 trillion cells of electromagnetic frequency, the 0.07 millivolts of electricity that houses this spirit, that anchors it to this very realm right here, right now. And guess what? If we go 2 dimensions and we're going to level up 6, 7, 8, 9, and now we're in parallel dimensions, did you know that your dimensional shift is only limited by your imagination? And did you know your brain doesn't know the difference between what you've physically realized in this 3D reality or whatever you have created in your imagination? The gateway to opening to change is instantaneous. Know this and know this to be true. So, I'm going to say it right here, right now. People are like, oh, there's 11 dimensions. No. There's 9 dimensions. There's 18, there's 27, there's 36, there's 45, there's 54, there is 63, there's 72, there's 81, there's 90. Sifu, what are you talking about? This is blowing my mind. Because there is no limit. Mm-mm. And why is it valid to me when I talk about things in 9s? Because that is the most powerful number to me. That is the number that I gravitate to. That is the number that is deep within the DNA that I speak of, that is being replicated as we speak and being oscillated and vibrated and emulated right here, right now, with my very action. My synchronizing, my level of consciousness is projecting that into the field. That is the field, that is me. And it's replicating and having profound effects throughout this whole universe. And to the next universe, and the universe after that, and the universe after that. As my consciousness is unlimited, it's abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite. The truth to everything. So what are you getting at, Sifu? What does this really mean? It means that dimensions, you can lean on physics as a language to help you understand the shift that you feel. Because I will speak on this. When you shift your consciousness and you're doing these things that I speak on, where I'm altering physical flesh before your very eyes in any type of healing that you can imagine, you name it, I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I bear witness to it as a catalyst and a conduit. Or whether it's a manifestation or magic, which is another infrastructure, an architecture that you create, again, limited by you and you alone.
It makes me think of like every like superhero movie where they just discover they got these powers and they're like, well, what can I do? You know, like Spider-Man. Oh my goodness, I'm Spider-Man. Well, what can I do? Can I climb up a wall? And he tries it and he can. Oh, wow. Can I swing from a wall? Yeah, I can do it and I can do that. Can I hang upside down? Do I shoot webs? I mean, it's like that exploration where you have all these superpowers and like, you don't know you can't do it until you go, it's whatever's in your mind. You think, hey, can I fly? Yes, I can. I mean, you try it, you validate it, and then it is.
Right.
So to have something say, this is the way it is and this is limited. No, not at all. It's you validate it to yourself and go, wait, what superpower do I have? Can I run through a wall? Nope, I can't do that. Okay, but I can swing and I can fly and I can shoot and I can heal and whatever it is.
Exactly. and it is limited by you. So if I was to get down to the brass tacks of what dimensional shifts are for Taoists, well, all bets are off. But I'll let you hear this echo really loud and clear. You can lean on physics. You can lean on Big Brain on Brad, physicist, a plasticist, a neuroplasticist. Be very clear. Understand this. Know this to be true right here, right now. The truth is only what you believe, and dimensional shifts are determined by you and your consciousness. You validate it with the feeling. The feeling is the kinetic charge, the supercharge that is your validator, as you're using this neurology, this human body, as your tuning fork. That's it, beginning and end. And you are limited by nothing but you. Mm-hmm. So when someone tells you, no, consciousness is this way, no one has a definition of consciousness. Know this, that consciousness is everything. When you acquire it, when you truly realize it, when you accept you are the field is you. That means all is one, one is all. Now, this has been validated within quantum physics, that the universe is inside every cell, within inside every atom, within inside every photon, within inside every proton. It's all inside the complete infrastructure. Everything is inside each one of it. That creates the interconnection. That is the Planck field. That is the quantum field. That is the matrix. That is the oneness. That is the universe. That is the God. That is Tao. That is Buddha. That is the truth. And when people say there's nothing but space, that you could condense everything, all human beings, 8 million human beings, into one little condensed little, if you took all the space out of them and put them into a little sugar cube, is interesting. But understand this, there is no space. The space that you perceive between me and the camera, or myself and Jade, is completely packed, dense, full of this black hole energy that I speak of. It's pliable, it's tangible. The second you do this, you can feel it. The second I do that, you can feel it at home, because there is freaking energy everywhere. And that is not empty space. That is condensed with the black hole energy we speak of. That's the inner working, the sheet, the plasma that we speak of. So you never, as Lao Tzu will remind us, no one gets to tell you what to think, do, or say. Understand this, know this to be true. Your truth is the only truth that you need to be concerned with. And your shift, your fundamental shift, is validated by you and you alone. And you will realize it. We can give you the framework, the template, the understanding of your level of consciousness, but it's for you on your journey to acquire that fundamental shift that then validated. It's go time for you. I will say this and know this to be true. When I enter what I consider the fifth dimension, and for a Taoist, it starts like this. Dimensions are paralleled, not just to consciousness, because that's a very simple way. Your consciousness is just shifting your perception of how you see something. I see it this way, Dimension 2, I see it that way. Dimension 3, I see it this way. Dimension 4, I see it that way. Dimension 5, I see it this way. Now, understand this. From a Taoist, consciousness and dimensions are like this. First dimension is earth. Second dimension is water. Third dimension is wood. Fourth dimension is fire. Fifth dimension is metal. Sixth dimension is 81 levels and frequencies of gold. Seventh dimension, 81 levels of frequencies, colors of platinum. Eighth dimension, 81 levels of, and this is really crazy, this is the parallels that how Taoists perceive what dimensions truly are, is 81 levels of a platinum diamond, frequency, color, and vibration. And then we have the ninth dimension, which is all-encompassing. Now, when you continually level up, what does that really mean? Yeah, that's right, the power of it. Understand this to be true. This is the inner workings of Taoist realization, and I'm sharing this with you for the first time. No one's ever heard this before because it's on a whole nother level. We are very secretive on how we share our shifting. And so those dimensions are then paralleled with the culmination of all three energies. On the ninth dimension, everything is as one. Now, on the fifth dimension, you would believe everything is as one, because that's entering as a realization you are the field. That means everything. You have access to everything. Energy, frequency, vibration, information, energy. That's it. Knowing. That's it. So that's why we always we roll it back to the dimensional shift and understanding the simplicity of the quantum model. The dot, the lines, the three-dimensional object, time, space, time, the collapsing of that, and then entering oneness. And that's the validator. And guess what? We can share this with you. We can teach you how to acquire it. And then you can validate it and know it to be true because the feeling is undeniable. I don't have to say anything else. It's a mic drop time. You will realize it. It's not Jade. It's not me. It's you. Your truth as you know it. And then what you can do in that level of consciousness is on a whole nother level. And that's when you cast magic. That's when you cast the healing. That's when you create manifestation.
Yeah. And it's kind of like watching someone like run a race. Mm-hmm. Like you're watching someone break a world record and they're running, 100 yards in, I don't even know the record. It's like 8 seconds or something. It could be less, it could be more. I'm not even sure. But you're watching them do it. Even though you're not physically doing it, the idea of watching them do it, break that world record and achieve that goal validates it for you.
Right.
So even if you've never even run 100 yards and know what that feels like, or 8 seconds, you watched it, you saw it, that's that validator where you're like, wow, that can be done, and I just saw it happen.
And you felt it. Mm-hmm. As we constantly remind you, you don't have to change your identity. Mm-mm. You just have to feel it, and it will become real. So, hear it here from me first. Dimensions are your shift of consciousness, and that's it, beginning to end. And you validate it by the feeling. Mm-hmm. That's what makes it real to you. That is the truth. Up and down, in and out, left and right. And people have other different perceptions of what that is. And that is the most important thing to them. And that should be their truth as they know it. And that is the validator. But for someone to tell me that it is a specific ancient text, it's a specific ancient method, it's a specific ancient script, is being limited, is dismissing other people's belief systems, it's dismissing other people's entry points to this level of consciousness that we speak of. Because guess what? Consciousness in of itself is everything. And that's what happens. When you do the Way 126, there is a shift. These are the things that you do that we have 2 years worth of training for a reason. You want to level up to a whole nother crazy viewpoint. You go through each tier. And the first tier will blow you away because you master your emotions. You have the ability to change your state at will. And that makes you realized as the field. Now you can start there and finish there and go, wow, well, thank you, Jay. Thank you, Sifu. I'm a master. I'm done. And you can be. Because you have something that is a learnt mastery that is for yours forever. You own it. You acquired it. You created it. It's yours and yours only. You take it anywhere. Use it at any point, at any time, at will.
Blammo.
So, when someone takes the viewpoint that's limited off. What I want people to realize is how powerful they are. And that shift of consciousness is nothing more than your perception. So know that you are sitting here at the end of a table. Jade and I are sitting at the other end of the table. And how you see an object in the middle of the table is how you perceive your reality. And how you continually level up on your consciousness is to look at that object and see something new about it every single time you see it. Every single time. And that's why the feeling is so critical for you to understand. Because when you feel it, it becomes validated to you and you alone. And that is your truth as you know it. That is the register, the go time, the tuning fork, the barometer that validates that what you are experiencing, what you know to be true, your shift of consciousness is real for you right here, right now. So understand this. If you are limited by someone is giving you a book-learned framework understanding, and this is what Albert Einstein goes to. This is why I think he was so brilliant for his reincarnation, for who he was in this lifetime. And he was a mastered guru from many lives before this one. And he shifted consciousness. He wasn't aware of this in his natural born life. He was just like this huge tuning fork of information that just drew it in there, just pulled stuff out of the frickin' ether, which moreover would be the Planck field, which is the field. He's just taking the information, going blam, 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 blam. Here it is, right here, right now. And the second he stopped getting that information was when he started thinking. But realize that he would make people aware of how far they are in their consciousness journey, how limited they have made themselves. It's not me making you limited. It's not Jade making you limited. You're making yourself limited. We give you the tools to create that magic. We are the masters. Taoists are second to none when it comes to mastering the energetics, the internal alchemy. That's why we give you these tools. Nigong, Qigong, 11 herbs and spices, that integrated Taoist proprietary stuff that makes you the master, the keeper, the creator of your reality. That's the validator, guys. But know this, you are limited by nothing. If someone tells you this is how it is, know that you can always start with, that is your truth as you know it right now. And watch their head explode. Blammo! You cannot refute me! And then you look at them and you go, yes, I can. Because my truth is the only truth I need to be concerned with. And what validated to me, what I gravitate to, what I feel, the sacred words, the sacred symbols, the sacred numbers that are integrated into my very essence, into my very DNA. Those sequences, those binary codes that have been deciphered several decades ago, that are validated by physics, which is another language, a very new language that we are just using to give you an understanding of the very essence of who you are as the universe. And that's how we dig it. We dig it. We use the elements. The Taoists use the elements to raise up our consciousness and our affinity with the cosmos, the injection of the cosmos, how the three pure ones are integrated into the three entry points of the cosmos, or the creation, the realization of the cosmos that comes from supreme purity, jade purity, highest purity. That is a whole nother level. I would love for you to refute that about how I perceive my reality, or that moreover millions of Taoists before me, and how we perceive our reality and how we integrate that into our very essence and our practice and our cultivation and our realization of what the truth is and what levels of consciousness are. Oh no, it's zeros and ones, and this particular code was referenced to ... That's how you perceive it. And I'm so very grateful that you perceive it that way, and I will validate it for you that you perceive it that way. But that is not how I perceive it, and that's the only truth I need to be concerned with, the only truth that is true and is valid to me, and what I feel, what I resonate with, what I know that is true. Oh, yeah.
That's your dimension.
Right. So when someone talks to you about dimensions, understand this, know this to be true. It's your consciousness, and it's for you to perceive. If you listen to Jade and I, and you resonate with what we're saying, then that's your truth. And if you don't, then you're not even listening to me right now. And that's the validator. That's the magnetism that comes with your realization of your connection with the universe, that you are the universe is you. That instantly, that will materialize in your reality. Wave to matter to particle, particle to wave, particle matter to wave. You are nothing but a light being, altering that with your consciousness instantly. Materializing everything in front of us. Everything is a frequency, energy, vibration, beginning to end. So when we get on the dimension, look, it means nothing. I will show you. Now, I use that as a gear stick. If you go and do our 3 to 5D experience on YouTube, you will come to understand. I frame things out, and you will realize from the second you hit play, you're feeling it already. It's percolating, it's oscillating, it's vibrating. The energy is already starting, and you're like, well, he hasn't even started. He's just giving me a fundamental understanding of what this is, just to give you the framework to prime your neurology, and then blammo, I go first person, third person, no person, pop you out, and whew, rocket man. And now you have experienced that, then it is validated for you to be true. Oh, yeah. Beginning to end.
That feeling.
And so, hear it here first. Someone says 11 dimensions. I'm a Taoist. Ring through and through, an OG through and through. I'm talking lifetimes before this one, as a Taoist priest, as many other things. Lifetimes. Multiples of 9. You work it out. And so, when I talk about dimensions, let's start with 9 and keep leveling up. 9, 18, 27. 36. When someone says, well, that's not true because physics hasn't validated that. Sorry. Physics hasn't been around for 10,000 years like Taoism has. And so our affinity with the universe, our integration of that and know that to be true is the only truth I need to be concerned with. And that has replicated from generation to generation, handing down the ancient tools, the ancient scriptures, the ancient rituals, the cultivations that I use right here, right now, that I install and impart to you, that I share with you so you can create an infrastructure and a realization of how powerful you are as the universe, as the oneness, as everything. I think we've validated that. I think Jade has given me the validation that she's in her 27th dimension at this point. Levitating in another multi-dimension outside of this one, going, it's time for me to go.
Lift off.
Lift off. So if you want to get rocked, if you want to realize the mastery of Taoist practices, how we tap in energy, frequency, vibration like nothing you've ever seen before, stop this video, go and find our 3 to 5D experience and get yourself rocked, because that's exactly what will happen. And that's why we coined it the Rocket Man experience. leave the rest to your imagination.
And validate it for yourself.
And validate it for yourself. Trust me, the average response is profound. And guess what? Stick around. And we are having an upcoming event with Latsu coming in and treating you to a transmission. That will come. We'll put that up on our board soon enough. You can register with your email. We'll do it through a Zoom. It is welcome one, come all, but it is for all the followers within our social media, and it's for all the followers that want to experience that. This is not an in and out experience. This is going to be one that will be validated, and you are, when you go in there, you're in for the ride. And honestly, you just have to think about it, and the interconnection is they're going to start bubbling and having an effect on you already, and Latsu is going to start rocking you before you even turn up on the day.
I think people are going to be a little mind blown with this one.
Well, yeah, because all I am is a catalyst and conduit. If we're talking about channeling, that's my bag, baby. I'm prolific at channeling, have been for over 30 years consciously, been doing it for many lifetimes. And all I do is I am just the gateway for Latsu to come in and rock your world in this 3D reality. Get ready. Put your dancing shoes on, because it's a whole nother level up.
I think we covered a lot today.
Oh, we did. And I'm pretty sure Jade's derriere is saying just that. So, any closing words, my divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade, before we enter another dimension?
Yeah, it's don't be limited by anything, really.
Don't allow anyone else to create limitations for you. The only person who will limit you is you, no one else. No one gets to tell you what to think, do, or say. It's for you to discern, for you to decide, for you to realize whatever it is that you choose to.
This is correct.
And with that, I'm rocking out. Man. I'm rocking out because guess what? This is my bag. This is my truth. This is my reality. And nothing makes me feel good like I should. And the angelic tones and frequency, the vibration of this gift from the heavens that we call the one and only makes me feel real good. And with that said, I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn, and I'll see you on the next one, guys.